it's really something to talk about. I hope you got something new, learned something new. And I'm going to start talking now because the show has really been organized by our friends with the Building Council. So, Kirby, come on down. Sure, I'll just be moving things along from person to person.
Hey everybody, thanks for coming out. You know, as Keith Richards likes to say, it's great to be here, it's great to be anywhere.
Say that again. There's probably 5 people here that are looking.
Yeah, right. Maybe that's so scared, I guess. I just flew from Indianapolis to my arm store. Okay, that's enough. Anyway, I'm Kirby with Lockheed Energy. I'm wearing 2 hats tonight. Thank you, Krista, for mentioning Call It On NIPSCO. We work on the NIPSCO energy efficiency programs too, and that's part of my responsibility. The other hat I'm wearing tonight is I was instrumental in I guess you could say, relaunching the North Central branch here in South Bend for USGDC. So we got that going on, and that's one of the reasons why we're here tonight. Frozen. Okay. So we have a great group of local celebrities here tonight from University of Notre Dame, South Bend Fire Department, City of South Bend, Inovateus Solar, Lockheed Energy, another famous celebrity besides myself, and Indiana Michigan Power. So I think you're going to enjoy what we are bringing to the table tonight. You probably all wonder what does USGDC do? What do they stand for? Well, it stands for U.S. Green Building Council. USGDC helped develop the LEED building certification program. It's actually a platform for sustainability. And what it does, it actually emphasizes many strategies within the framework and the principles of sustainability, including energy efficiency, water efficiency, renewable energy, sustainable sites, recycling, lots of cool stuff. And so we're going to be sharing those principles, some of those principles with you this evening. The other news, I already mentioned it, you know, we have a branch here that everybody's welcome to come and attend. We have meetings once a month on the 3rd Thursday. And so if you come to the meetings, you can learn about other events we have planned for the future, as well as some fun things that I can't tell you about in public. I'm just kidding. It's a great organization. It's growing. We're starting to get some traction. I'm pretty excited what we're going to bring to the table this year. So what are we doing in the local area? Interestingly enough, there's literally 30 LEED certified projects. You don't necessarily call them buildings because there is such a thing as LEED for neighborhoods. So a whole neighborhood of homes can be a project. So we have 30 LEED certified projects. There's one platinum. A platinum earns 80 to 110 points. There are 11 gold projects, and that earns from 60 to 79 points. There's 30 silver projects, and that is from 50 to 59 points. And then there's 8 certified. The Education and Arts building here on campus is a LEED certified building. The other interesting thing is in this area, there are 125 LEED accredited professionals. I think in this room there's what, 4 maybe? At least 3. Put your hands up. Many more. Okay. There's different levels of an accredited professional. There's green associate, then you can become an accredited professional, and then within the accredited professional, there's quite a few different ways that you can go with that. So lots of folks involved in it. It's like one of those best known kept secrets. So as I said, we have local meetings and events. We welcome you to come out and take part. So join us. There's a sign-up sheet out in front. It's a real crude one. I just created it about 5 minutes ago. Put your name, your email, and your company on there, and we will reach out to you. If anybody is interested in receiving CEUs for tonight, that's how you would make sure that you get credit for those. We have to be able to get a hold of you to send that certificate to you. So that's all I have. Very brief. I'm going to turn it over to Krista now for the
mic along. I'm gonna pass the clicker along. Some of you have slides, some of you don't. Some are gonna like dance and sing. Yeah, it'll be very entertaining, no matter if there's something on the screen or not. I should mention, Kirby said if you're here, you want to earn those CEUs, make sure to sign in. If you're online trying to get CEUs for this, you want to make sure we get your name typed in the chat, because what's on screen for us does not always show up. So thank you for that. So first up, we have Allison Mihalich. She is with Notre Dame's Office of Sustainability, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about their sustainability efforts and the projects. So let's pass the mic on down.
All right, I'm Allison Mihalich. I may not actually need this microphone, but I'm going to speak into it. If I'm too loud, just raise your hand, please. I'm the Senior Program Director at University of Notre Dame. My slides are up. Awesome. Clicker's working. So I am not going to speak too long. I have 7 minutes, I think. But we have a long-standing history at Notre Dame of supporting sustainability initiatives. It really kicked off with our utilities long-range plan that set our first Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions-related reduction goals. And our Office of Sustainability was created in 2008. In 2015, we kicked off a sustainability strategy planning process. Pope Francis's encyclical coincided with the kickoff of it's actually a little bit after the process kicked off, and helped accelerate our sustainability strategy planning process. That strategy document was released in the fall of 2016 and outlined 6 key goals that the university was committing itself to in the following areas. So the first one is energy and emissions. Again, that emissions reduction goal was a fundamental piece of our strategy. Water-related goals, building and construction, which I'm going to spend a little bit more time talking about, but I'm happy to take questions about any of our goals. And then waste, so things like recycling, food waste, procurement, licensing, and food sourcing. All of the goods that we bring on campus and how we conduct our business, making sure sustainability was integrated with day-to-day operations. And then education, research, and community outreach. There are 2 key ways we go about doing our work at Notre Dame. We have this in terms of sustainability. We have a standing committee that's championed by our executive vice president that meets twice a year. And then we have 7 small working groups that align with those 6 goal areas, plus the bonus, communications, because we realized we wouldn't be doing our job if we weren't shining a light on all of the work that's going on with our operational partners, as well as shining a light on the sustainability-related coursework, curriculum, and research that our faculty and students were engaged in. So these are the 7 small working groups I just mentioned. There's a pretty little green box around building and construction, because that's what I'm going to focus on. These are just some highlights. You probably can't read all of that, but I'm going to speak to some of them. So I mentioned the emissions goal. We have achieved that first goal. We do have a long-range goal to reduce emissions by 83% by 2050. And then with regards to water, in the wintertime, we installed 50 water meters to begin benchmarking our water consumption at 25 different buildings across campus. They're also a design standard for any of our new construction projects so that we're able to start being cognizant of our water consumption at buildings. Building and construction, we have a LEED Silver standard, and what that means is any new construction project must be built to LEED Silver certification standards at the time of construction. So those that are LEED certified know that LEED credits change, the version changes. So some of our LEED building portfolio is early LEED, some of it is 2.1, 2.2, or 2009, I'm sorry. There's different versions, and so as LEED credits and the version changes, our standard is still maintained at that silver level. We also do a lot with regards to recycling. We have a big food waste solution that we're working on campus right now that was just commissioned. We have a sustainability clause in all of our requests for proposals. So all of the vendors that we work with have to respond to sustainability class. And then we also are having a sustainability seminar series. So a quick 5-second ad. This Friday from 12 to 1, Patrick Reagan is going to be talking about climate vulnerability. And we have a Facebook event, so check us out. So now I'm going to segue to building and construction. So we have 14 LEED certified buildings on campus. Most of them are gold, 9 of them are gold, 5 are silver, and then we've got another 3 that are currently pending certification. Our 2 most recent buildings that were certified, Jenkins Nandek, which is silver certification, and then our McCourtney Hall. And as I mentioned, LEED silver is our standard. So these are just some really pretty photos of some of our buildings. I particularly love the Stinson Remick, the top left, because it shows a solar array. So we have 2 solar arrays right now. One is on Stinson Remick, and then the other one is at Kenmore Solar. The solar array at top of Stinson Remick is a 50 kilowatt unit, and it helped the building achieve gold certification. One of my favorite features of our building, some of our LEED pending buildings, the picture in the center at the bottom shows our green roof on top of the Joyce Purcell Pavilion. It happens to be the largest green roof in the state of Indiana, and the largest of any college or university, and it's, I think, 79,000 square feet. We have 5 more green roofs across campus. So Getty's Hall was our very first LEED certified project, I think back in 2010, so it was version 2.2. And I just outlined a few of the features that helped it get LEED Gold certification. So one of the things I'm most proud of is the construction diversion rate of 97%. There's a few other highlights up there. We have low emitting vehicle designated parking spaces at Getty's Hall, and then we got credit for our bicycle parking. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but those are just some of the highlights. There's also a lot of recycled material and locally sourced material that was used in the project. So with the time I have remaining, I wanted to talk about one very visible aspect of LEED. The main building is not LEED certified, but when you think of Notre Dame, I would imagine most people in this room think of the Golden Dome. One of the coolest things our utilities department that we often partner with has done is implement an energy conservation measures program. And you're going to learn a lot more about energy conservation later from some of the other folks on the panel. But we have a program that is phased. So I think we're in phase 4 right now, but phase 1 was really looking at lighting, and then phase 2 and 3 transitioned to LED lighting and considered HVAC conservation initiatives. The Golden Dome was a very big project because they replaced all of the lights in the dome and some of the nearby buildings to help with illumination to LED. And at that time, it really wasn't the standard. LEDs were a little bit new, and they were still figuring stuff out. And it had the added bonus because of the longevity of LED bulbs of resulting in some resource savings, because they did not have to go up in the dome and replace the lights as frequently. And so it was more of a management and social return on investment. But when the program first was phased in, we didn't have a LED standard. Now we do. So they transitioned slowly from energy efficient lighting, and then ultimately now it's all LED. So I am going to reserve the rest of my time. If you'd like to learn more, our strategy document is downloadable. We are on Facebook and Twitter, and as of last week, Instagram. So Sustainable Notre Dame, and I'm happy to take any questions.
And you're just going to pass the mic to your left. We're next hearing from our City of South Bend representative, so the mic gets to travel from one end to the other, as both Fire Chief Cox and Parsons talk about the phase benefit.
So my name is Steve Cox. I'm the South Bend Fire Chief. It might seem odd that I'm here at this panel, just for the simple fact I'm the fire chief and I'm really not associated with the Green Building Council. However, our department has received a lot of support from Mayor Pete here of late, and we've had the opportunity to build a couple of new fire stations. One's over on Olive Street, just north of the railroad tracks on the west side of the city, and we just completed construction on that building back in June of last year, and it is currently undergoing the LEED process. We anticipated getting LEED silver status for that particular building, however, we may actually have adequate amount of points to bump it up to gold by the end of the process. We are going to see how that goes. The other building that we're currently building is fire station number 9. Those of you that are IUSB folks probably are well aware of that building as it's been under construction just a block east of the university here on Mishawaka Avenue. That one also is a LEED silver project that we started, and we will see as it's still under construction, and we have not applied or we have not filed all of our paperwork yet for the LEED process. That building also will be minimum of silver for us. So let me just talk real fast about why LEED was important for our department. A lot of it, frequently I get asked, oh man, you guys are doing all this environmental stuff because you're doing these LEED buildings. And for us, it's not as much of an environmental impact that we're trying to have, although that's important. Our firefighters live in these buildings. It's not just a place of work, but it's a place where they live for a third of their life. So they do 24-hour shifts. So there are sleeping quarters, kitchens, workout rooms, everything associated with these buildings. So it's really, really important for us to be able to have a healthy environment for those individuals working for our department in the building in which they work. And so the job that they perform every day outside of the building already subjects them to contaminants, carcinogens, and everything else. So it's really, really important for us to be able to ensure that our firefighters had a safe place to come back to when they weren't fighting fires, going on hazmat incidents, doing EMS calls, etc. So there are several different levels at which are points that were very important to us. One deals with the fact that the LEED process gives us a roadmap for us to follow to be able to ensure that we're providing that healthy living quarters for our employees. So, for instance, when building the new construction buildings, we're using no VOC paints. At the end of the construction process, we have a roughly 30-day flush out period, running all the mechanicals within the building to flush any kind of contaminants out of the building before our firefighters actually inhabit the building. Those are just a couple of examples. Additionally, we're an organization that is financed through property taxes and income taxes. So it's really important for us to be able to give back to the community that actually pays our salaries, gives us equipment to work with, etc. So it was really important for us to be able to utilize the roadmap within the LEED process to source materials locally to be able to funnel some of that money back into the local economy. Additionally, with Station 4 over on the west side, we actually had a building on site that we were using that was absolutely inadequate for our personnel that was going to be torn down after we opened the new firehouse. So what we wanted to make sure we did was we didn't just take all of that refuse and just dump it right back into the dump, right? So utilizing the LEED process, it gave us, again, a roadmap for us to follow to ensure that all recyclable material within the old building was actually recycled. We were able to do all of that from metals to concrete, everything associated with that building. And that was really, really important for us to be able to do. One of the other things, and I know Tyler and some of the other folks on the panel we've discussed, both of those buildings, we also have solar arrays on top of the apparatus bays. We try to take advantage of energy savings. I guess getting back to the environmental piece to this, the energy savings associated with using renewables within those buildings. And so that was very important for us us to be able to show the community. Sometimes some of the other parts of the LEED process aren't as obvious, you know, that we're recycling material from the old building, et cetera. But when we opened our new building, I know we have Therese Monroe from our sustainability department within the city here. We worked with Therese on both projects to make sure that we were actually showing the community that yes, we are going through this process, and this process is actually paying dividends. And one of the things that makes it easier for us to be able to show the community that is having something as visible as solar panels on the building, because that's something that represents the fact that we built that building in a sustainable way. So it wasn't just the fact that we were saving the electricity, but it was something that was obvious and in plain sight that you could say, hey, look at this, we're doing this. And even people that don't understand the LEED process or the LEED process isn't something they're familiar with, they know what solar panels are, and they know what that represents when you see them. And then they're able to see that we're trying to be good stewards of not only taxpayer dollars, but we're also trying to be good stewards of the community that we live in, the air quality, et cetera, everything associated with the sustainable building. And just like Allison, I'm happy to answer any of the questions about the buildings that we're doing right now. And I think I've probably gone over 3 minutes, so I'll just pass this over to Adam.
I appreciate it.
Yep. Sorry.
I can make a second OSHA joke. My name is Adam Parsons. I am the Director of Facilities Management for the City of South Bend, or as everybody else calls me, the Buildings Guy. It's a newly created position within about the past year or so. The city had a fleet person to take care of, you know, fire engines, cop cars, refuse vehicles, everything. We have people who are dedicated to providing water, to taking care of their sewage. We didn't have anybody who was a point person for the built environment. So all the various departments and divisions were responsible for taking care of their own. The wonderful example, I'm going to use such a fire station. We had 2 garage doors that were needed fixed in the same bay. The entrance door was being fixed by overhead door, and the exit door was being fixed by industrial door at the same time. So one of my responsibilities is streamlining building maintenance. And where that comes into LEED is if you read through the LEED prerequisites, especially in energy, but also for materials and resources, probably half of the categories, there's a prerequisite for creating and maintaining maintenance records. Now, when you build a new building, that's easy. You have the contractor, the general contractor, the engineer, the architect say, hey, here's this big, thick stack, 18 inches of operations and maintenance manuals. Here you go, done. But for existing buildings, you have to go back and say, hey, this rooftop was installed 30 years ago, and then it was replaced 15 years ago, and that was replaced by somebody who was in your position 3 generations ago. So what is it now? Where does it start with? What do we do with it? All that other fun stuff. So you start preparing these maintenance manuals and trying to switch from reactive maintenance to preventative maintenance. So establishing that, basically creating what Notre Dame has already created in the ECM, the Energy Conservation manuals. So we can have those applied to buildings that maybe aren't ready for O&M, maybe aren't, we don't have the funding for it yet, but prepping all the buildings so when the time is right, taking that next step to get our buildings to that level. That's a brief overview of what I do. I'll cede the rest of my time to who's
I don't know if y'all have any more time.
Oh,
It's great. So next up, we have Tyler Kanczuzewski and Tim Powers from Inovateus Solar.
Thanks, sir. Hey, everybody, I'm Tyler Kanczuzewski. I'm a board member of Inovateus Solar, part of the investor group, and operationally, I'm our director of supply and sustainability.
Hey, thank you for having us. Tim Powers, Inovateus Solar, and the Research and Policy Associate, who focuses on state and federal incentives and programs which our customers can use to build large solar projects.
So our mission, Inovateus Solar, is building a brilliant tomorrow. And basically what that means to us is build our community and the U.S. By installing as much renewable energy as we can. And right now we're focused primarily in solar energy, but we're also getting into battery storage and energy storage. So Inovateus Solar, we are a solar developer. We also do distribution of equipment to like smaller installers across the Midwest. But yeah, we started in 2008, and my father, Tom Kanczuzewski, started the company with George Howard. He's a professor of psychology at Notre Dame, actually. And my brother, TJ, was involved and helped write the business plan. But basically, the housing market was kind of fizzling a little bit. Probably remember the 2008 bubble. They saw big demands in power and specifically renewable energy, so they decided to get into solar. Just before that, our company, we were actually doing like energy efficient home building and commercial building, basically LEED certification. Before it was popular, not that it wasn't popular then, but we were doing some pretty cool stuff, and solar was starting to become a part of the business plan. So it really made sense to dive into solar. Our headquarters is here in South Bend, and we're pretty much Midwest focused, but we do work all over the country and even the Caribbean. A little bit about our team. We like to have a little bit of fun. We have think tanks most Fridays, or at least try to do every Friday, where we basically try to do some brainstorming about sustainability, things that can make the world a better place. We've gotten some awards for being best place to work in Indiana, I believe four times out of the last 5 years. We've also won top 10 solar developer in the country, so that's pretty cool for a company that's only 40 people based in South Bend, Indiana, because there's some huge solar companies in the U.S., particularly in California and on the East Coast in New York. Solar companies, thousands of people, so we're only 40 people. So we're doing some big things, which is exciting to be a part of. We've installed, I think, roughly 364 megawatts to date, which is, we were just doing the math, I think it's like 1.2 million panels roughly. If that helps you understand how many panels. I'm not sure how many square footage that is. I didn't do that, but it's a lot of solar. But it's taken a dedicated team, a small team, to really make that happen. And we have a lot of great partners. So we have this background, I'm probably going over time here, but I'll wrap it up and give it to Tim. But we have this background of being into sustainability. That's why we started. But we actually didn't have like our own sustainability manual or like sustainability standards in place at our own company. So Tim and I are going to be starting a green team at our company, and I'm actually going to be changing titles soon. Probably I'll be vice president of sustainability. So I'm pretty excited about that. But we're going to be launching a green team that's focused in sustainability in our operations and at our job sites, because there's a lot of waste being mounted at our job sites. And we work with a lot of different partners that we want to have follow the same sustainability standards as possible. So definitely some exciting stuff here moving into the future and sustainability realm, and actually walking the walk rather than talking the talk. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Tim.
Great, thank you. So like Tyler said, and like I mentioned earlier, we are part of the green team here at Inovateus. This panel is really a representation of who Inovateus works with. We have public entities like the City of South Bend, who we work with closely. Colleges, schools. We built some solar projects in not only Indiana but around the Midwest. We're finishing some in Ohio right now, and then also seeing my customers like utilities, which we've worked with in the past as well. So this is a list of some of our bigger projects that we've done over the last 10 years. DT is a utility up in Michigan. That was one of the biggest. That was the biggest utility-owned project east of the Mississippi River at the time of completion. So 58 megawatts. Just to give you an idea of how big that is, it's about 280 acres of solar, about 120,000 panels. So enough to power, say a large college campus in Michigan State. Speaking of Michigan State, we also do the project for them as well. Solar carports, which if you flip forward, Krista, we can show two more, sorry. Yep, so those carports on the left are an example of, so one of our favorite projects that we've done. That's 13 megawatts, about 40 acres of carports up in East Lansing for the University of, or it's Michigan State University. Keeps the snow and rain off the students' cars, but also powers about 8% of the campus there. So it's very, very, I would say, dynamic project, but also highly visible. That took about 4 to 5 years to really process through, just to make the how some the timeline and how long some of these things take to go. So like I said, my role deals with state and federal policies. We can take a quick dive into Indiana Solar here. The graph there on the bottom shows you the number of installations that we've seen in the state in the last several years. So the yellow, I believe, is C9. Customers, I can read that. Yep, not resident. So you see a bump up in Indiana Solar development in general. A lot of aspects of the market affect this, sort of the solar tariffs, which came into place in early 2017, and at the end of this year, the ITC investment tax credit is going to go away, started to go away. It's going to step down from 30% to 26%, and keep going down from there. Excuse me, jump to the next slide real quick. Yep, sorry. Yep. Now there is a map there. I thought we'd be able to click on this, but maybe not right now. But that's okay. We'll flip back here. But we've done some very good work in Indiana. So on the left there is Kokomo Solar 1. It's a 7 megawatt project for the city of Kokomo, Indiana, which was completed in 2016. They took a Superfund site that the EPA put about $65 million into to get remediated from the former steel plant, which was one of the biggest industries in Kokomo at the time. The steel plant shut down. The city had this massive Superfund site they did not know what to do with. And Duke Energy, ourselves, and the EPA partnered up to build that for the city. So I believe it's the third largest in the state right now. So here we go through Kokomo, just pop on the west side of the city, you can see right there. So moving through a little more on Indiana real quick, we'll wait a little more time. Tyler attended the first ever Solar Lobby Day at the State House last week, so I'll let him talk about that real quick.
Yeah, we were there, and one of our partners, Indiana DG, Laura Arnold, I believe she's on the webinar. Thanks, Laura, for helping put that together. But yeah, it was the first ever renewable energy day at the State House, which is kind of hard to believe. But they've been down there for many years promoting renewable energy. It was just the first official event. And Mauricio Anani's our brand ambassador, our marketing director at Inovateus, and I were down there. And it was a great group of people. There was 100 people there from across the state, meeting with state legislators to basically promote renewable energy in the state. Indiana burns the second most amount of coal, in the country. So we're still a little bit, behind the times. But there is great things happening, and there's great legislators in the House right now that I think are a little bit more pro renewables. You know, the country is only 2% solar, 10% renewable, but we're only 2% solar. Obviously, you know, Inovateus being a little bit more in solar, we're trying to push solar hard, but all renewables are great, and there's tons of opportunity for more renewables. So that's what we were there for, to fight for our energy rights and for you know, more homeowners, business owners, and utilities to put more solar in. So that was a fun event to be part of. I'm in the bottom left picture.
Banging down there, yeah. Well, that's for today, so I think we can pass the mic now.
Yeah, so next up, we've got Roger DePoy from Indiana Michigan Power and Rachel Smith from Lockheed Martin. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm not going to say how long I've known Kirby, but we were able to get Thomas Edison off to a good start. Top button here. All right, I'm going to lead off. Rachel then is going to speak specifically about some of the lead affiliations. I'm going to talk about our rebates primarily. One of the things I want to talk about, if you look at the last 3 years, that our programs have reduced, as you can see, 262 million kilowatt hours. And whether you want to go to the DOE's website, there are any number of equivalencies. And I'm one of those, I will not read the PowerPoint slide. You can take a look at it. But tremendous reduction in terms of the number of cars that represents off the road and acres of forest and what have you, and continuing to push that. You know, we're finding obviously that money is a great motivator. So if we can offer funding to drive more efficient projects, and that benefits us all. Multiple benefits, as you can see, of energy efficiency. I think one of the biggest, obviously, is the reduction in greenhouse gases. Sustainability is important to most companies and entities today. Again, I'm not the one that reads all of this, but if you can improve your energy efficiency, cut down pollution, employment, we're certainly seeing with the likes of the Inovateuses and what have you, we're out there. We've partnered on at least, I believe, one project previously. We have 4 at this time. I can't quote 6 hydros, and I can't give you the exact figure for what we're producing there, but day by day we're getting more involved in renewables ourselves. So program offerings, this is just a very quick piece I'm going to talk about. We have prescriptive rebates where we tell a customer, if you put this in and replace this, here's what you get. We don't look at hours of burn time or anything like that. Custom incentives tend to be large scale projects. They are not listed on a sheet anywhere. So this is where someone's working potentially with a compressed air company or maybe someone that's doing a large mechanical project, and we'll look for some calculations showing that by putting in this piece or this component, we can have a tremendous reduction in the kWh usage. New construction, we do incent commercial buildings, the residential end as well, but I'm going to speak specifically to commercial. We're basing that on ASHRAE 90.1. Indiana is still a little bit behind the times. They're still using 2007. Our neighbors to the north, where I live, are using version 2013. And when I spoke at an ASHRAE group a couple of weeks ago, from what I understand, Indiana is not pushing to change that 2007, but hopefully that will come. Just real quickly, then direct install, we tend to work with smaller, kind of mom and pop businesses, a lot of convenience stores where they have to use a vetted contractor to come in, because typically a smaller business is not going to have on-site expertise. They're not going to have a facility manager. So they can rely on the contractors. We tend to pay a little bit more to encourage that then as well. And then work energy management is a program that basically we're looking during those demand response days, the July and August, where it's 85 degrees and 80% humidity, curtailing load. And just beginning this year now and just getting it off the ground, we are now also incentivizing electric forklifts, so moving from LP to electric there. Very briefly, 100+ measures that fall under that prescriptive rebate opportunities. Lighting is probably the biggest component. You see some things. VFDs. A VFD is a variable frequency drive. Use that on motors. So you don't have to have a motor that runs at a constant speed based on your load. So this lets the motor speed up and speed down by converting it to DC. Tremendous power savers. Again, I'm not going to read a lot of case studies, a lot of lighting changes. You see that in warehouses, in manufacturing sites. Allison, I think you talked about the LEDs. One of the things when I'm out talking to somebody, it's very easy to convert and say, this is how many kWh you're going to save, but don't forget the MRO component. Because, you know, right now they have to warehouse or store T8 light bulbs, T5 light bulbs, HID lamps. They have to have a high lift that gets up there. And if you look at the lamp life of a metal halide versus an LED, it might be 3 times the life. So it follows quite quickly that, you know, you're only going to spend probably 1/3 of what you spend on MRO. So that to me is a big selling point for LEDs. And of course, being the senior person up here, I have to turn around so I can see behind me. This is at an unnamed steel mill in an unnamed town somewhere near New Carlisle. Had 4 large compressors, and when I say large, these things were probably 15 feet cubed, 1,250 horsepower apiece throughout various points of the plant. And all they did on this sounds very simple. Put a master controller in, because they may have had a unit down here that was blowing off while this one over here is trying to build up pressure. And these tiny incremental differences, as you can see, resulted in over 1 million kWh savings in the project cost. It was significantly reduced, and $94,000 payment on that for the incentive was $67,000. New construction, and this is going to kind of segue into what Rachel will talk about. Anytime that we can get involved and incent, you know, I like to call this a new construction incentive and not the new construction reward. We have to get involved early on. But if you can build something that exceeds code, you're going to get a good incentive for that. And as Rachel's going to speak on LEED, then we can additionally fund it higher yet based on the level of the LEED certification. This was just one little warehouse here in town. As you can see, 315,000 square feet, fairly good size. Almost a $54,000 incentive payment to them, going all LED. So, you know, that pocketbook persuasion sometimes can make a big difference in encouraging people to become more energy efficient. And at this point is when I want to turn it over to Rachel.
Hi, again, my name is Rachel Smith. I work for Lockheed Martin, and I support Indiana Machine Power's energy efficiency programs, both in northern Indiana and southwest Michigan. So I just wanted to kind of dive into LEED a little bit, and how does it work, or how does it tie into our energy efficiency programs at Indiana Machine Power. And so as Roger mentioned, Indiana Machine Power in Indiana uses actually 90.1 2007 as our baseline for new construction. So in the LEED BDNC version 4, one of the minimum program requirements is that you need the minimum energy performance. So that's a requirement. And so there's a couple different pathways on the screen, and I just kind of picked a couple for us to go through really quick to help you get there to meet that minimum program requirement. So option 1 is the whole building simulation using computer modeling, right? And it says how much better than baseline. And in the LEED projects, you're actually required to meet ASHRAE standard 90.1 2010. So you're already going from 2007, which is the baseline that we look at, to 2010 with your LEED project. And under the whole building simulation, you have to demonstrate a 5% efficiency improvement from that baseline. So not only are you getting the 2007 to 2010 delta, but then you're increasing that by 5%, which then in turn for the utility incentive program allows for a bigger delta on the incentive from what you did from baseline to your project. So that's one of the ways. And the other side is option 2, the prescriptive path, using the advanced energy design guide, And there's a link on the bottom for the ASHRAE templates to kind of help you pick the path for your building that you're working on. But just for some examples, I picked the first one, the small to medium office building. And if you look at our climate zone, just to give you some examples really quickly, ASHRAE 90.1 2007 standard for allowable watts per square foot for interior office is, just to make sure I have this right, is 1 watt per square foot. The Advanced Energy Design Guide specifies that it must be 0.75 watts per square foot. So again, you have an incremental savings there, but it's still in the overall delta from 2007 standard to your LEED project, plus the incremental savings gives you a better incentive from the utility for your construction LEED project. And just kind of going further on an example for the exterior, for uncovered parking spaces, 2007 lists the allowed watts per square foot at 0.15. The Advanced Energy Design Guide specifies 0.1 watt per square foot. So again, incremental, but still overall savings there. So your LEED project is going to push you beyond the baseline even greater, so that when you work with us on the utility incentive, you should see a greater incentive payout. One of the other paths that you can choose in your LEED project for energy and atmosphere category is to do the optimized energy performance to gain even more points, but also you can look at gaining a bigger delta on your energy simulation. So you present your whole building energy model, and on the graph on the right, if you're saying, based on our project design and our energy model, we may beat building code by 7%. So then you increase your points based on the scale there, but not only are you surpassing ASHRAE 90.1 2010, but then you're adding the extra percent, even beyond the minimum program requirements. So if that is something that you're pursuing in your LEED project, that's just a way for you to say, hey, we should work with a utility on this because we can get a better incentive payment. So, and this is really a high level version of your LEED projects, but I would encourage you that if you are working on LEED projects, or you have customers or clients that are working on LEED projects, that you engage with your local utility to see what incentives are available. Because of the advanced design of LEED projects, it's forcing energy efficiency, and the utility has programs to help offset some of those costs. So, and I will say, as we're working with the city of South Bend on fire stations, the sooner that you get us involved, we can kind of help get the information flowing to the LEED project team of what we need to evaluate the project, and so we can get out ahead of things early in the design. So Roger and I are always available for any questions that you have here, but I definitely would encourage you to reach out to your local utility if you are pursuing a LEED project. Thank you.